Vikrant, Pakistan desperately looking for a face saver. Is Pakistan getting an off ramp here?
Well, they were always going to play this game, Gaurav. There was no way that Pakistan would have boycotted an ICC event. I mean, come to imagine what would have happened, the ramifications. It's just that they were delaying the inevitable and they had a meeting. The meeting was good, cordial, as in, I won't say somebody won or somebody lost in the meeting, because Bangladesh, any which ways, if they get the revenue, they're still not playing in the World Cup. Pakistan was trying to be the elder brother. They must have succeeded in winning Bangladesh over in terms of diplomacy and in terms of strategic alliance. But in terms of cricket, they did not get what they wanted. ICC again were also desperate for this game to happen. So in the end, what has happened is that Pakistan had their drama. Any movie that you go to a cinema theater will run for 3 hours. I mean, we know in the first 15 minutes that X is the heroine and Y is the hero and Z is the villain. But you sit through a movie to watch the hero and the heroine bashing up the villain, the last reel at the stroke of 3 hours.
Okay.
So this was a movie and the movie's just ended.
Okay. So, end of the 3 hours, Pakistan emerges as villain. Javed Badar साहब, मोहसिन नकवी सोच क्या रहे थे? वो हीरो बनना चाहते थे, लेकिन पाकिस्तान बिग जीरो बनेगा इसमें?
देखिए, मैं पाकिस्तान में शायद वाहिद आदमी हूं, पहला आदमी हूं जिसने बाईकाट के मुखालफत की। मैं प्रो आर्मी, प्रो गवर्नमेंट आदमी हूं, लेकिन मैंने मुखालफत की कि पाकिस्तान को बाईकाट नहीं करना चाहिए। विक्रांत गुप्ता साहब पहले दिन से इतने परेशान हैं कि शायद इनके ब्रॉडकास्टिंग में इनके पैसे लगे हैं जो डूब रहे हैं। बात यह है कि अभी तक किसी ने ये बात नहीं कही कि ये मसला हुआ क्यों है। विक्रांत भाई, मैं जो पूरा करने दीजिएगा बात, कि ये मसला यहां तक पहुंचा क्यों है, इस पे अभी तक हिंदुस्तान में या पाकिस्तान में बात नहीं हुई प्रॉपर किस्म की। देखिए, क्रिकेट जब भी दोनों देशों के दरमियान बॉर्डर पे जब भी मसले होते थे, टेम्परेचर हाई होता था, तो हमने माजी में यही देखा है कि क्रिकेट डिप्लोमेसी के जरिए इसको प्रेशर को कम किया गया, टेम्परेचर को कूल डाउन किया गया। लेकिन
नहीं तो क्यों क्रिकेट के जरिए प्रेशर को कम करें? आपने विक्रांत को बोला, मैं आपकी बात नहीं पाकिस्तान की नाक कटी, मतलब वो बहुत पुरानी कहावत है, थूक के चाटना, वो थूक के चाटने वाली बात है।
यही बातें गलत तरफ लेके जाती हैं। हम कहते हैं कि सियासत नहीं होनी चाहिए खेल के अंदर। ये कहां से शुरू हुई? देखें, कलकत्ता नाइट राइडर के पास इकलौता प्लेयर था बांग्लादेश का, उसको सिक्योरिटी हुकूमत,
अरे उससे पाकिस्तान को क्या? आप मामा लगे बांग्लादेश के? नो, लेट मी गेट विक्रांत टू रिस्पोंड टू दिस। पाकिस्तान मामा लगे बांग्लादेश का? लेट मी गेट विक्रांत।
आई थिंक ठीक है, वो he can say whatever.
दुरुस्त क्या 15-20 लोगों को किस तरह सिक्योरिटी दे देंगे? आप चेंज कर दें। आईसीसी अगर चाहता तो ये मसला नहीं होना था। आईसीसी श्रीलंका में उनके शिफ्ट कर देता, जिम्बाब्वे के हिंदुस्तान में मैचेस शिफ्ट कर देता, कोई मसला नहीं होना था। सिर्फ बात आ गई अना की कि नहीं देनी चाहिए हमने। बांग्लादेश कौन होता है ये कहने वाला कि हमें?
तो आप क्या पाकिस्तान? नो सुशांत, इज बांग्लादेश, इज पाकिस्तान बांग्लादेश लॉयर? जब आपका भाग था तब तो आपने उनकी महिलाओं का बलात्कार किया, लाखों का। आपके हाथ से निकल गया बांग्लादेश, अब आप वकालत कर रहे, वकील बन रहे बांग्लादेश के। तू कौन? मैं
यही बातें तो अब देखिए, यही बातें तो मैं मना कर रहा हूं। क्रिकेट के अंदर नहीं होनी चाहिए।
क्यों नहीं होनी चाहिए? जब दुनिया भर क्रिकेट को, जब
कौन सा मुल्क ऐसा है कि जो हाथ मिलाने से रोके अपने प्लेयर्स को मुखालिफ टीम में?
अगर आप पढ़े लिखे होंगे तो आपको मालूम होगा, रशिया के साथ ओलंपिक गेम्स नहीं खेले थे 1980 में।
नहीं, एक सेकंड, I'll just interrupt. सर माफ कीजिएगा, आपने बात तो सही की कि हाथ मिलाना चाहिए क्रिकेट के मैदान में। आई एग्री। सर आपके वहां पे ना कुछ पुराने साबिक क्रिकेटर्स हैं, वो ये कहते थे हिंदू लोग मैदान पर हार रहे हैं तो मुझे बड़ा खुशी हो रही है। तो उस चीज को आप सब्सक्राइब करते हैं? मतलब ये जो आप सियासत की बात करते हैं, जावेद मियांदाद, सर एक सेकंड, जावेद मियांदाद, आपको मालूम है उनकी इज्जत इंडिया में कितनी थी? लेकिन उनकी जो स्टेटमेंट्स आती थी, इसका गला काट दो, हिंदुओं का गला, ये बातें वाजिब हैं? आप मुझे बताइए, किसी एक मिनट किसी नहीं, आप विक्रांत गुप्ता को कहते हैं ना कि तुम्हारा ब्रॉडकास्ट पे पैसा लगा है। मेरा ब्रॉडकास्ट पे पैसा नहीं लगा, मेरा जमीर जागता है। मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहता हूं, जावेद मियांदाद को आपने क्रिटिसाइज किया था? कैसे किसी देश के प्रधानमंत्री को कह देता है वो कि इसका गला काट दो? कैसे वो बोल देता है हिंदुओं का खून बहा दो? हम तो जावेद मियांदाद करते रहते हैं। शाहिद अफरीदी जो बोलते
आपको गलत
हैं,
है।
आप सर ये जो बात करते हैं ना
देखिए,
कि
ऐसी
सियासत
बातें
और
किसी
खेल,
दोनों
अब सुनिए,
तरफ से होंगी तो गलत है।
सियासत और
दोनों
खेल,
तरफ से नहीं होनी चाहिए,
आपके
गलत है।
प्रधानमंत्री, आपके प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने ट्वीट किया सर, आपके प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने
खेल को
4 तारीख को
खेल
अपने
रहने देना
कैबिनेट में
चाहिए।
बोला है हम नहीं
खेल को
खेलेंगे।
खेल रहने देना चाहिए।
नहीं, अब आपको लग रहा है खेल को खेल रहने देना चाहिए क्योंकि आपके पैसे फंस रहे हैं। अब पाकिस्तान की
नहीं,
ना
पैसे नहीं फंस
नहीं
रहे,
नहीं
देखें।
अब देखिए, अब पाकिस्तान
पैसों
की
की-
मतलब जब सांप की दुम पर पैर रखा तो बिलबिला गया पाकिस्तान। सुशांत सरीन,
देखिए,
दिस
हमारे
इज
तो J17 थंडर बिक रहे हैं बड़े, हमारे पैसों की कमी नहीं
आपके
है।
नहीं बिक रहे भाई साहब। वो
हमारी
जो
तो एक-
चूरन
एक
आपको
घात की मार
J17
है।
थंडर, भाई साहब जो चूरन आपको J17 थंडर का खिला रहा है ना, वो चूरन खाना बंद कर दो। आप कब तक खा के वो
बात
चूरन?
करें
सुशांत सरीन,
क्रिकेट की
कुछ
तबाही
तो
है ये,
इनको ज्ञान
क्रिकेट के
दो,
लिए बुरी
कुछ तो
चीज है।
ज्ञान दो
मैंने
इनको।
तो अपनी जिंदगी में कभी इस तरह नहीं देखा कि
Gaurav, it's
बाइकाटे कर रही है
pointless trying
टीम,
to knock any
आईसीसी
sense
आपने
बाहर
असल
निकाल
में
दी है, टेस्ट टीम
वो
को बाहर
जो
निकाल
कुएं का,
दी है।
बदर
ये
साहब,
देखिए,
जो कुएं का
ICC
मेंढक होता
ये
है ना,
मामला ICC
उसको
के
लगता है
हाथ में
कुआं
था।
पूरी दुनिया है। क्योंकि आप समझ जाओ, 1980 में पूरा वेस्टर्न ब्लॉक मॉस्को ओलंपिक खेलों के लिए नहीं गया था। 1984 में पूरा सोवियत ब्लॉक लॉस एंजलिस गेम्स के लिए नहीं गया था। एक बड़ा लंबा इतिहास है। अभी रशिया के साथ नहीं खेल रही आधी दुनिया। आप ये स्पोर्ट्स और क्रिकेट एक साथ नहीं चलता। जो आपको चूरन खिला दिया जाता है आप लोग खा के रट लेते हो। कुछ तो दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है
तो फिर
समझ
खुद
जाओ।
को ना
अब
फिर
आप
आप
JF17
ना खेलें।
थंडर की बात कर रहे हो। सुशांत सरीन,
वेलकम करें,
इज
फिर इतना
पाकिस्तान
परेशान
गेटिंग,
क्यों
इज
है?
पाकिस्तान
ना
yes.
खेलें
गेटिंग,
पाकिस्तान के साथ।
is Pakistan
Gaurav,
getting okay?
quiet.
Only
Keep
Sushant
talking
Sareen right
like
now.
this.
Is Pakistan getting an off ramp here?
Very clearly, I think they are being given an off ramp out here. And I don't think they should have been given it because what it does, what this off ramp will do is it'll buy you temporary relief and a permanent headache. Because these fellows will use this off ramp because this means that there are no consequences on Pakistan for their misbehavior. And if they're going to misbehave, they should be punished for it. In fact, I would have ideally advised both BCCI and ICC to have said nothing. If the Pakistanis did not come and play, they should have been warned of the consequences. And if they did not still come without giving them any off ramp, then they should have been visited those consequences. By trying to appeal to them, plead with them, let's play this match because of the losses that will happen. Those losses would have gone to everybody, right? It would
Yes.
not have affected the board, Indian board. It would have affected everybody, and everybody's wrath would have been on Pakistan, especially because I think Vikrant himself mentioned in an earlier program that force majeure clause was not going to be applicable to Pakistan. So one is that. Secondly, what this gentleman out here is talking about JF17 and talking all kinds of nonsense. This is the typical Lahori Churan which they sell. This is the Lahori Churan which they were sold on this whole ICC fracas, on this T20 fracas which they entered into. The bottom line is that they are going to be ending up with nothing. At least if I go by what Vikrant has been reporting, by whatever their demands were, that you give us a bigger share and you play domestic the bilateral series with us, they're not being given any of that. So what are they left with? Vikrant himself reports that the ICC had already agreed that they would not penalize Bangladesh. Ideally, they
Yes.
should have, because Bangladesh was shifting the goalpost at the last minute.
Under
where
Pakistani
it was
pressure.
the right
So
way
you
to
have
organize
two
the
countries
tournament
that
and
play
play.
truant. You're absolutely right. Two countries that misbehave, but they'll get rewarded for their misbehavior. Nikhil, is that how we should look at it? Or is it a massive loss of face for Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif, who went on record to say that Pakistan will not play against India on the 15th of February and that Pakistan stands with Bangladesh, or words to that effect. But now Pakistan will end up playing. Or
Gaurav,
may end up playing.
Yeah, I'm sorry I was a bit distracted because, just now we've got news coming in about India's annual contracts of the players. I was just looking at the A grade, A plus contract players get about 7 odd crore, which could be, almost 1/4 the budget of, that's one player's annual contract could be 1/4 the budget of entire Pakistan cricket. I think that just explains why you've had a U-turn of sorts from Pakistan. I mean, just looking at where they are, some of those demands which are now in public domain, to be asking ICC that ensure we want to have bilaterals, to ask ICC that there should be a handshake protocol. I mean, it's laughable on multiple levels. One, how is it that people who are negotiating don't even know that ICC is not the correct correct forum to be addressing these issues, and these are people that are looking after their board. And secondly, from a stance that their government has taken that we don't even want to play India in a game because of Bangladesh, why would then you want to engage with India on a bilateral level or have handshakes? That just beats me. What it tells me is that I think Pakistan was in a confused state. We mentioned that force majeure thing. That is something they were relying on. They consulted their legal experts, which also ill-informed them that, listen, don't worry, no legal ramifications, no financial ramifications are going to come your way because we have this, clause to give us a exit somewhere or the other. After having realized that, no, that is something that we cannot rely on because what we were banking on doesn't even add up on this situation. That's why this U-turn has now happened. I'm sure they'll get something out of the deal. When you do hear them saying that, listen, we've agreed to play India, but those could be, as the common word that is being used right now, Lahori Churan, that could be okay, Bangladesh will get some sort of revenue, which I think anyway ICC may have considered that if Bangladesh had continued to negotiate with them and a couple more things, that's all they'll get, and eventually the game will go ahead.
Let me get Mona Alam's perspective on this. Mona joins us from Islamabad. Mona, welcome. Your take on this, an off-ramp for Pakistan, or is there merit that it's a massive loss of face for Shahbaz Sharif and Pakistan, that first they said they will not play and now apparently the word is that they want, at least Mohsin Naqvi wants Shahbaz Sharif to give them clearance to play on the 15th.
Thank you for taking up the topic. Well, yes, of course, Prime Minister Prime Minister is the ultimate authority, right? Since it was announced by the government of Pakistan that initially they had, I don't know, the smirk on Sushant Sareem's face, it's inexplicable.
Because the ultimate authority I thought was Asim Munir.
It's so distracting.
Be that as it may.
Okay,
be that as it may.
So Prime Minister, of course, is the ultimate authority. It may seem funny in your country, but it is the case in our country at least. It's a sovereign one, So the Prime Minister will ultimately decide whether we want to play or not. And it was announced by the government of Pakistan. So I think it is up to them only to take back that announcement if they've had a change of heart due to this.
Why would they have
ICC,
a change of heart?
Coming over and
could you explain,
trying to convince us?
Why would they have a change of heart? And I mean, if he's ultimate authority in Pakistan, Shahbaz Sharif, I'm sure that's news even to him, that he's the ultimate authority and not Asim Munir. But be that as it may, why do you think Pakistan had that change of heart, Mona?
Because ICC is trying to convince us, right? ICC is meeting PCB officials as we speak, and they've had a certain ice melting, I'd say, in recent times, that at least Pakistan has put up certain conditions as to the certain criteria that we think should be abided by in order for us to be willing to play this bilateral. I think it's about a decade that we haven't played a bilateral with India. So, of course, it's going to be huge. And I do understand the ICC's stakes in the entire matter. But, of course, I think Pakistan has had a
ICC,
dignified stance.
just on an issue of fact, and Vikrant can tell us better, as can Nikhil, ICC cannot decide on a bilateral between India and Pakistan. Am I right, Vikrant?
Well, I think you're misinformed. I can understand. I mean, I do listen to your shows, but I think cricket, you are... this is half-baked.
Yeah, cricket is, of course, your forte. Of course. I give it to you entirely.
No, my point is, there's no bilateral happening.
Please go ahead and correct me if I'm
Mona,
wrong
there's no bilateral happening. Because, see, again, I think people need to understand what is the ICC and what is a bilateral cricket. I mean, how can the ICC ask any member board to have a bilateral relation with the other board while I don't want to? I can only play Pakistan so long as the government doesn't allow. I can only play them in Asia Cup or the ICC tournaments. Secondly, it's naive of the Pakistan Cricket Board to even suggest to the ICC delegation, please tell India that they should play with us. Please tell India they should play a tri-series with us and Bangladesh. Please tell India that they should play us in the WTC cycle. I mean, people need to understand the World Test Championship cycle does not belong to the ICC. The ICC, we only get 5 days in 2 years' time. When bilateral cricket ends and you look at the point system, the top two teams play in the WTC final. That's it. That's it.
But for an ICC event, Mona, the limited point that on facts, ICC cannot decide bilateral or trilaterals. But fact also is,
Just to add to
Nikhil,
that,
yes.
But this is the only
one is that
this is the
ICC
only
cannot decide.
negotiator that we're
Sorry,
getting to
uh,
converse with, right?
no,
This is the only negotiator. It may be a third party, but
For
this is the
ICC
only
events.
mediator that we have
For
on the
ICC
matter. So I
events.
think,
my only question to you,
Only
Mona,
for
is
ICC events.
my only question is that
but the
I think
ICC have
we've
come up.
pointed it
They've
out.
had this meeting with the PCB deputy, right? So
For an
they
ICC
are
event.
trying to make amends.
For an
That
ICC
that
event is the only point.
Just
ICC
one
cannot
question.
That's fair
enforce
enough.
a
But
bilateral
I'm just
series.
trying to imply that this is the only negotiator that's available to us. So of course, whatever grievances or concerns that we have, we will put them forth
My
to the
question is,
available negotiator or the mediator only.
I just had one question for you.
Please.
Whether you agree or not, whether ICC is the mediator or not. My point is, why would Pakistan want to have bilateral cricket? Why this demand for bilateral cricket when they decided to boycott even an ICC match versus India for not something that involves Pakistan, which involves a third party? Why this change of heart? You've had, some bluster coming in from Pakistan where they said that if India doesn't want to shake hand, bhaad mein jaye, we don't want to do it either. Why this change of heart? Why even the need to play bilaterals with India?
Actually, I think this is a news which only Indian media is breaking to us, that we've had this change of heart. Yes, we have put out certain conditions, but I don't think the bilateral match is a condition so far that at least I've heard of.
Okay,
I'm
Mona,
just
and
saying that the
what are the
bilateral hasn't
conditions
happened in
the
a decade, which is
Pakistani
all
media
that
is
I
putting
said.
out? What are the conditions the Pakistani media is putting
Regarding
out?
the handshake, I think this was a bitter incident that had happened after the Indo-Pak war last year. That there wasn't a handshake, and the winning team, Indian team, they should have shook hands. They even refused the trophy from Mohsin Naqvi's side. So I mean, all of this has happened, right? There's no denying this. So we
No,
do,
but
of
if
course,
India
if
doesn't want to shake hands, why is Pakistan saying we'll only play if India shakes hands? Why? We don't want to shake hands.
because there's
Why is Pakistan so
I think
desperate?
there's this certain sportsmanship which should be honored, and particularly from the winning team side. I mean,
Just to
we
interrupt
don't
Mona,
have to
Mona
act
is
like
absolutely
sore
right.
losers all the
I
time.
think Mona
This
must
is
be a
this is
great
a very
cricket
basic
fan, and
point.
Mona must have been a great cricket fan. Pakistan had a great legacy of cricket. I mean, Mona in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Two things here. Pakistan wants sportsman spirit. Even if they lose, they want the Indians to shake hands with them. But do you want your interior minister, who also happens to be the Pakistan Cricket Board chairman, to run away with the trophy that a nation has won? B, do you also subscribe to the views of Mohsin Naqvi when he held an Asia Cup game to ransom, where the Pakistanis refused to travel for the game to the stadium? And C, where was the sportsman spirit when you said in an ICC event, we don't want to play India?
And just to add to that, where was that spirit when Mohsin Naqvi puts out a tweet of Cristiano Ronaldo with a gesture of aircraft downing? I mean, so you want that gesture to be extended from India, that shake hands, but your interior minister, who's also the head of PCB, does these things.
All of this has happened, of course, but I don't deny that. But it had happened after India's, sore loser attitude of not shaking hands, and it
No,
was
we
just
won. We won the
reciprocated. I
game.
thought.
Nope. So
Mona,
It
we
was
won all the
reciprocated,
three
right?
games. We won the Asia Cup.
We
We
won
weren't the ones to
everything.
start it.
No,
We
and
won-
no,
we
India
won
is
all
not
the
a sore
games.
loser. But since you mentioned just recent attempts and events, Mona, sportsman spirit, when India and Pakistan actually started playing after the gap in 1960s, Pakistan won a match. Your captain, he turned around and said, this is the jeet of victory of Muslims over Hindus. It's recorded history. Sushant Sareen, they think that's
That wasn't.
sportsman spirit.
Of course, I will
Well,
not.
for people like
I will not
Imran
subscribe
Khan
to any such
playing
comment.
against India's jihad for Kashmir, for heaven's sake. I mean, this is actually not you in individually, Mona, but it's virtually like the devil quoting scriptures, Sushant.
No, so you see, the problem really with the Pakistanis is that now they are being meted out the same treatment that they were meting out to others, and that they can't handle. So now they are saying that, listen, why don't you guys, turn the other cheek like you always used to? That other cheek is not being turned. Second, I'm glad Nikhil brought out that point. This whole business about the Pakistanis wanting a trilateral series with India, a bilateral series with India. I don't want to play with them. I don't want to shake their hands. I don't see what's the problem. Why should I be forced to shake their hands, hands which are covered in the blood of my people? I don't want to do it. So, cope with it. Third, and most importantly, this whole business about the kind of grandstanding people take. My point is a very simple one. Show some Gairat, show some pride, and tell your Prime Minister, since as Mona Alam very bravely has claimed that he is in charge of Pakistan, everybody and even he himself knows that he is not in charge, that he is just the chapadasi to the army chief. But let him show that he is in charge. Let him take a decision and say, we will not play. We will stand by our pride. We will stand by our brethren in Bangladesh. We will stand up for cricket and not play against India. I challenge you to do it. I challenge you. Forget about all these conditions you have put. I challenge you that you will not be able to do it. Because that is what it is all about. And what we have done is, or what ICC has done is, by reaching out to them and giving them an off ramp, you have just encouraged them. Which is, I think, a disastrous thing to do, because how they will spin it, Gaurav, and you can mark my words on it. The way they will spin it is, even if they get nothing, not one of their conditions is fulfilled, they will spin it, and Mona Alam in her television programs will be the top person to spin it, top anchor to spin this. They will say, look, at least we rattled the ICC. At least we brought this matter to the fore. At least we shook everything up. And now this is the first step. Now we will take more steps. So what ICC has done is opened itself to further blackmail by these fellows. This should have been nipped in the bud right here, right now. Even if there was some minor loss, that would have been made up in the long run, even in the medium run. It would not have affected anybody's finances, least of all BCCI finances.
Okay,
So
I want to
don't
get
know-
Javed Badar and Nikhil
ICC
to respond to this.
very
But first,
tough
since
this.
so many questions were put to Mona, Mona, you want to quickly respond, ma'am?
Well, I was talking in utmost civil manner, but I don't know where he brought out that chaprasi and derogatory terms for my country's
That is
prime
chaprasi.
minister. That's ridiculous.
Okay.
I did not voice out
Fair
Epstein
enough.
files
Fair
and
enough.
featuring of Mr. Modi
Fair,
dancing
fair
in
enough.
Israel.
Okay, Mona, I'm sorry. I'll
Please
have to,
don't do that.
actually
Don't
have
bring
to
me
take
to
you
that
out of the
word.
show. Just stay on the issue, and such remarks on either side not wanted. But
Yeah,
for
please.
a moment, I want to
I
bring in
think
Mr. Badar.
Mr.
No,
Sukhari
Mona.
needs to control
Mona,
himself.
we're talking cricket, but you also know where your prime minister stands, and we all know where your prime minister stands.
No, don't use those derogatory words. Otherwise, I have
I
better
completely
words
agree,
for
and I
your
told
prime minister.
Sushant that. Fair enough,
Yeah,
fair enough.
thank you,
But
thank
there
you.
is no comparison
People
between
always
your
use
prime
derogatory
minister and
terms.
ours. But be that as it may, I want to bring in Mr. Badar, and I want to understand from you. इन सब से पाकिस्तान को मिला क्या? मतलब अगर
देखिए,
ऐसी
एक हफ्ते से
अगर
पिछले-
अगर गैरत की बात हो रही है, मत खेलिए, बोल दीजिए हम नहीं खेलेंगे भारत के
पिछले
साथ.
एक हफ्ते से आपने शोर डाला हुआ है पाकिस्तान का, जी पाकिस्तान ने बाइकाट कर दिया. अब ऐसी गुफ्तगू के बाद मुझे बताएं कि आप काम को, इस मामला को ठंडा करना चाहते हैं कि मजीद गर्म
अरे
करना
हम तो
चाहते हैं?
बिल्कुल, हम तो एक
तो-
आतंकी देश के साथ बिल्कुल नहीं खेलना चाहते, लेकिन ये मेरी निजी राय है. एक आतंकी देश के साथ जिसके हाथ सने हुए हैं खून से मेरे
तो
देशवासियों के
फिर
प्रति,
क्यों है?
तो
शोर
हम तो
डाला हुआ
बिल्कुल
है,
नहीं
क्यों
खेलना
ICC
चाहते ऐसे देश
आ
से.
रही है, मिन्नतें कर रहे हैं, पाँव में गिर रहे हैं. मैं तो कहता हूं
गुड
प्राइम
पॉइंट,
मिनिस्टर को पाकिस्तान
गुड
को
पॉइंट.
इजाजत
विक्रांत
देनी
गुप्ता,
चाहिए.
आईसीसी
जितना
क्यों
आपने
मिन्नतें कर
रोनी
रही है पाकिस्तान की?
जितने
गुड
करनी
पॉइंट.
है, जितने
Good
बंदे आपने
point.
भेज दिए हैं,
A
जितनी
state
बॉल
sponsor
पास
of
करनी
radical
है,
Islamist terror that's been bleeding India and Indians for decades. Why are we so desperate for Pakistan to remain in the ICC? बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं. उस आतंकी देश को नहीं होना चाहिए इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट में. बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं आप, नहीं होना चाहिए.
नहीं सर, मिन्नतें कोई नहीं कर रहा. मैं आपको लेट मी करेक्ट यू. मिन्नतें कोई नहीं करता. एक टूर्नामेंट है सर, एक टूर्नामेंट है. हमारे जैसे शादी होती है, आपकी भी शादी होती है ना. शादी में सब कुछ ठीक चल रहा होता है, एक नाराज फूफा आ जाते हैं. अब वो नाराज फूफा ने करना कुछ नहीं है, पर नाराज फूफा को ना मनाने के लिए चार लोग जाते हैं. और जो बेचारे ने मिलनी पे कंबल देने होते हैं, किसी ने वो कुछ करना होता है, उसको कहा जाता है यार ये आधा घंटा आप लेट करना, आप जाके नाराज फूफा को समझाओ. सो मैं फिर वही बात कर रहा हूं. ऐसा नहीं है कि आईसीसी मिन्नतें करते हुए गिड़गिड़ाते हुए पाकिस्तान गया है. सर आपको समझना होगा, एंड मैं आई एम सॉरी, मैं ये आपको क्रिकेटिंग टर्म्स में समझा रहा हूं. आईसीसी की एक डेलीगेशन बांग्लादेश भी गई थी, क्योंकि आईसीसी के प्रोटोकॉल्स हैं, प्रोसेसेस हैं. ये कोई दुकान नहीं है मेरी कि मेरी मर्जी है चल भाई तू तेरी नौकरी निकाल दी. प्रोसेसेस हैं, पढ़े लिखे लोग हैं. वो बांग्लादेश भी गए थे. बांग्लादेश में जब नहीं हुआ तो बांग्लादेश को तो आउटवोट कर दिया गया. सिमिलरली टू एक्सटेंड दैट कर्टसी, ये लोग इमरान ख्वाजा वहां पे भी गए हैं, और ये कर्टसी है. एंड आई नो फॉर अ फैक्ट दैट नहीं पाकिस्तान, सर सुन लीजिए, पाकिस्तान इज अ स्टेक होल्डर ऑफ द आईसीसी. आईसीसी मेरी नहीं है, आईसीसी आपकी भी नहीं है. इट कॉन्स्टिट्यूट्स ऑफ वेरियस क्रिकेट बोर्ड्स. पाकिस्तान उसका मेंबर है, तो पाकिस्तान को इतनी कर्टसी देनी थी। बट मैं आपको यह भी बता दूं, अब अगेन सर देखिए, मैं आई डोंट यूज दोज वर्ड्स, बट द फैक्ट इज कि आपको ना यही बताया जा रहा है कि देखो जी पाकिस्तान ने हिला के रख दिया। यस, द फैक्ट इज कि जो पाकिस्तान ने किया था उस दिन आईसीसी वाज वरिड, इवन नाउ दे मस्ट बी वरिड, बट द फैक्ट इज उन्होंने, आईसीसी ने पीसीबी को चिट्ठी लिखी थी। जब पीसीबी ने लिखा ना, अब सर थोड़ा सा अनपढ़ता भी हो गई वहां पे, पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट बोर्ड ने लिख दिया आईसीसी को अटैच करके अपनी ट्वीट कि हम फोर्स मेजोर लगा रहे हैं। तो आईसीसी पूछता है कि एक बात बताओ, ये कौन से सब क्लॉज में आता है? नंबर 2, अब मैं आपको फोर्स मेजोर बताता हूं, जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स होते हैं, नॉट जस्ट द आईसीसी, उसमें सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज पता क्या होती है? आपसे यह पूछा जाता है कि अगर आपकी सरकार ने मना किया है, व्हाट स्टेप्स हैव यू टेकन टू मिटिगेट दैट? मतलब आप सरकार के साथ मिले हुए हैं या आपने सरकार का फैसला किया था? ये सबसे, जब द मोमेंट आईसीसी रोड बैक टू पीसीबी कि व्हाट स्टेप्स हैव यू टेकन टू मिटिगेट दैट, ए बी, यार वी वांट यू टू प्ले, आप बताओ क्या करना है, कैसे करना है। बट यार देख लो, कल को
पाकिस्तान के साथ भी खेलने से मना
कमर्शियल,
आपकी सरकार ने किया
सर
था।
मैं बता देता हूं ना
सर, वो उसका तो कारण था ना, वो आतंक, पाकिस्तान प्रायोजित आतंक, वो जो लश्कर तैयबा, अल्लाह अकबर करके जो टेरर अटैक करते हैं हमारे देश में, दैट इज द रीजन, दैट इज व्हाई इंडिया डज नॉट वांट टू प्ले विद पाकिस्तान, देयर इज अ रीजन फॉर इट।
देखिए यही बातें हमारे पास ही बहुत सबूत है, बहुत
आपके पास एक पैसे का सबूत नहीं है,
बदर
and
साहब,
that's the point.
just a minute.
Okay,
बदर
that's
साहब,
the point
बदर साहब,
we
मैं
want to
आपको
make.
छोटी सी बात बताता हूं।
There is no
आप और
evidence
मोना-
that Pakistan has.
सर आप और मोना दोनों जानते हैं कि निखिल नाज
कहा
यहाँ
कि
बैठे,
ये
मैं यहाँ
क्रिकेट
बैठा
को
हूं।
क्रिकेट रहने
सर
दें।
1 साल पहले हम दोनों
और
पाकिस्तान आए थे 4 दिन
सरकार आई
के।
है, क्रिकेट तबाह कर दी है, पूरी दुनिया
You know-
में जंग सही हो रही है हिंदुस्तान की। ये आप
नहीं नहीं, हिंदुस्तान की कई जगह सही नहीं हो रही है। पाकिस्तान भीख का कटोरा लेके हर जगह जाता है। सुशांत सरीन, somewhere down the line this message has to go out. It is with a begging bowl that Pakistan goes everywhere. You know, and that's the
Gaurav,
point,
as far
Sushant
as I'm-
Sareen.
as
Pakistan
far as
goes
I'm
with a
concerned,
begging
I
bowl
think-
and yet shows this attitude. मतलब भिखारियों का इतना attitude है. It's amazing. I'm very disappointed though. मतलब जब भीख मांगते हैं तो कुछ तो उसमें गैरत होती है। ये तो बेगैरती की भी हद है, सुशांत सरीन।
भीख तो आप मंगवा रहे हैं।
ये कितने घटिया
सुशांत
लैंग्वेज
सरीन,
यूज कर रहे हैं आप।
only
गौरव
सुशांत
सावंत,
सरीन,
this is
only
घटिया
सुशांत सरीन,
language,
please.
outright ridiculous, disgusting language.
Mona, don't, you were the one who brought in the business about
only
how
Sushant Sareen.
important your prime minister is. I didn't bring that up. And even you know that, you are indulging in a lot of dissemble. But the fact of the matter is, Gaurav, as far as I can make out, the Pakistanis bowled a full toss to ICC and to BCCI. If I was in charge of BCCI, I would have told them I'm not going to give them a damn thing, and I will not relent on anything. If these guys want to behave bad, let them be visited with the consequences that will follow. So it is as simple as that. And while they might have their protocols and they might have reached out to them, and as Vikrant is saying कि रूठे हुए फूफा को मनाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, कई बारी रूठे हुए फूफा को ना रूठा ही रहने देना चाहिए, so that he understands what is important.
Most respectfully, Mr. Sareen, I think even your BCCI is not listening and not paying heed to your comical analysis. This is comical in nature.
Yeah, you are
comical
Be that as it
analysis
may,
ever on
be
cricket
that as
commentary.
it may, be that as
I
it
know
may,
you
Mona
like to
Alam,
go-
the
Probably
fact
even
remains,
BCCI has
Pakistan,
not ears,
your
no
Prime
ears
Minister
to
has
this
gone on
comical,
record to say
ridiculous analysis.
that he and the army chief, no, it's not ridiculous, it's a fact. It is a
Why
fact
doesn't BCCI
that
listen to
your
it?
Prime Minister announced with a begging bowl, your army chief and he are going everywhere. It's a fact. And
If you
only
have
Nikhil,
any
only
sense,
Nikhil
then
Naz
don't
on the
play.
screen,
Why
please.
isn't BCCI paying
No,
heed
I
to
am
it?
not going to get
BCCI is
Pakistanis
not
on my
my
show for
country's
this.
board. It's your
Only
country's
Nikhil Naz
board.
on air
But it is
immediately.
outrightly
But
rejecting
Nikhil Naz,
those ridiculous
this is where
theories.
BCCI has to make it very clear, or the ICC needs to make this very clear. A state sponsor of radical Islamist terror cannot be a part of the cricketing playing world. Look at that attitude. Even defeat, like Operation Sindoor, they'll spin as victory.
Well, it's a rare occasion where I agree with the Pakistani analyst, Mr. Badr, actually, where he did bring about ICC. I think Vikrant made a valid point that, see, ICC has certain protocols in place, they have to follow it up. But I think, this should serve as an example for ICC also to set their house in order. Should ICC then be extending this courtesy to Pakistan? Can they allow a country to hold international board like the ICC to hostage like they have because of their whims and fancies? I don't think any other international body will allow that. True. So I think this is also this should serve an example for ICC to not have those pre-planned India-Pakistan matches that they would. This should be the moment for ICC to realize that let's not base all our ICC tournaments and sell it to the broadcaster on only that India-Pakistan game. Let's not have them in the same group. I'm sure the cricketing universe or the cricketing ecosystem can survive with this India-Pakistan game. Let this be the moment to call out that bogey that is that India-Pakistan game. And if this can lead to some course correction and for ICC to fix their house in order, let this be that moment.
Is this that moment, Vikrant? Because Pakistan is tom-tomming that ICC will collapse without India-Pakistan matches. All money comes from India-Pakistan matches. That is why ICC keeps India and Pakistan in the same group. Is it time now for the ICC to wake up and perhaps for the BCCI, more importantly, keep India first and Indian interests first?
Well, again, the India-Pakistan game does generate a lot of revenue. It is mentioned in the contract that you have with the broadcaster. It is a little less than the semi-final and the final, but the India-Pakistan games are revenue generator. But how much money? It's about, in Indian rupees, about 200 crore, 250 crore. I think that's the value of one India-Pakistan game. So 200 crore rupees Indian would be some maybe 750, 800 Pakistani, 800 crore rupees in Pakistan.
Yes.
So just to give you an objective reality, in the IPL, 2 IPL games give you 250 crore rupees as the rights.
Exactly.
250 crore rupees the BCCI earns in 2 IPL games from the broadcaster. But you look at the ICC, and like I said, India is not the ICC as much as the Pakistanis now claim. India is not the ICC. ICC is a body made of several cricket boards, and India is the most important. India is the most important, not just for the revenue that India generate, it is also now because of the ICC trophies that India win. I mean, it's not just 150 crore Indians watching the game.
My point is, for far too long, Sushant, we've permitted Pakistan, a state sponsor of radical Islamist terror, to punch far above its weight. You can make the same amount of money and more in an India-Australia match, or maybe 2 India-Australia matches. Do that, have new rivalries come up, get rid of that state sponsor of terror.
Yeah, but this is precisely the point I was making earlier, that, the Pakistanis go, they bite a lot more than they chew, and then you allow them to, get away with it. And this is where we should have drawn the line. This is exactly what I'm saying, that for a short-term benefit or to prevent a short-term loss of, as Vikrant is saying, about 200, even if it's 300, 400 crores, even if it's that much, that would have not been, that would have been spread across all the boards, right? If the revenue goes down, then the shares of other boards go down.
Yes, that's the problem.
The smaller boards which suffer more. I don't think it makes any difference to BCCI, really.
Yes.
Or maybe at least the big 3 or 4 boards. It would be Bangladesh which goes bankrupt. It would be some of the other smaller boards which have problems. And the BCCI could have been nice to them and maybe given them some tournament, something or the other. You could have...
Absolutely. Make up... Vikrant, isn't that possible? Okay. Yeah, okay, go on.
To save a short-term loss, I suspect we might be entering into a long-term problem with this kind of behavior from the Pakistanis.
Absolutely.
Because I don't see how Pakistan has been told that next time you do something like this, there will be terrible consequences. Incidentally, that's how we ran our foreign policy. That next
and
time
never encourage a bully. Put him down in the first place. Absolutely. Put him down in the first place. And Vikrant, whatever revenue loss you may have on a 1 game with Pakistan, play 2 more games, make up for that. But then Pakistan will go bankrupt, won't it?
Gaurav, again, let's understand. I think Sushant does understand the dynamics of how the ICC works. ICC, again, is not just India, England, Australia, who can generate money on their own. I mean, the other boards, of course, they do depend a lot on the ICC money. They're smaller nations. Nations like Oman, nations like Singapore, nations like China, for instance. So these associate members, they make very little money. And that money is not sufficient for them to run their cricket. Look at Hong Kong, for example. So the moment, the value of one ICC tournament goes down, somehow it'll have a spiral effect. But let me also tell you that I feel that the broadcast money in the ICC tournaments is also on the higher side. I mean, there was a time when you had an Australia, and England, and India, even a Pakistan, a Sri Lanka, a West Indies. Now you've got just 3 or 4 teams playing. And, fortunately, the start to this World Cup has been good. Otherwise, 20 teams, one-sided, 4 teams playing to the best of their ability, others just being a guachiga, doesn't make commercial success even for the broadcaster.